Meghan Markle's fakery with British Airways has just been exposed. When all else fails, when everything is going disastrously wrong, there's always a stunt involving an airplane. She is one of the worst passengers to ever travel on their airline. She was rude to the air hostesses. She tried to get upgrades. That was before she met Prince Harry. And she refused to even look after Archie on the flight. And he was crying for a long time before the nannies got in.
On the 18th of May, 2026, a surprising detail started turning heads over what first looked like a simple anniversary gesture. A British Airways Boeing 777, operating as Flight BA 269, was getting ready to leave Heathrow Airport. Sitting in the premium cabin was a traveler known around the world. According to reports, Meghan's name appeared on the passenger manifest, while Harry's did not. Several hours into the flight, Meghan reportedly received a handwritten card from members of the cabin crew. The message was addressed to "Dearest Harry and Meghan" and carried the captain's signature.
Merching our own wedding too. This is all extraordinary stuff, especially the fact that she claims that the British Airways crew on her flight from Europe back to Los Angeles just happened to know that it was her 8th wedding anniversary and just happened to write her this card expressing what a delight she is on the flight.
A bottle of champagne was also placed beside it, making the gesture appear especially thoughtful and generous. At first, many people saw it as nothing more than a kind anniversary surprise from airline staff. But as the image began circulating, the conversation quickly grew bigger. The reason people kept talking about it was not just because of rumors or online guesses. Much of the discussion centered on details that could be examined directly. The biggest point of debate became the card itself. Questions started popping up based on the wording of the message, the circumstances of the flight, and information that was already publicly available elsewhere. When people looked more closely, 3 specific details caught attention. Even more interesting, the third detail was not printed on the card at all. Instead, that point reportedly came from information found in British Airways' own published materials. On their own, none of these details necessarily proves that anything unusual happened. Still, some critics argued that when all 3 points are viewed together, the situation appears a little more complicated than a completely spontaneous onboard surprise. By the next morning, Meghan had shared the card on Instagram, and the story took off fast. People magazine published an exclusive article the same day. Hello magazine also covered it, while GB News discussed the story and the questions surrounding it. Within hours, the image was spreading across social media feeds and news headlines, putting the gesture in front of millions of people around the world. Before taking a closer look at the card itself, it helps to understand the timeline leading up to the flight. The day before BA 269 departed, Meghan was in Geneva, Switzerland, where she spoke at a World Health Organization event. During her appearance, she discussed concerns about social media and the impact it can have on young people and families. The next morning, reports indicate that she traveled from Geneva to Heathrow Airport before boarding British Airways flight BA 269, bound for Los Angeles. Since there is no direct commercial flight from Geneva to Los Angeles, connecting through London would have been a routine travel choice.
Posted this weird picture getting ready to leave for the event on cyberbullying. And the whole event was about protecting your kids from social media. And I guess she doesn't see the hypocrisy that she's posting her kid on social media.
Public flight records and tracking data show BA 269 departing from Heathrow and beginning its long journey across the Atlantic. According to publicly available flight tracking information, the aircraft left the gate around 26 minutes behind schedule before eventually arriving in Los Angeles later that evening, local time. Based on public reporting, the trip appeared to be a solo journey. Meghan reportedly traveled alone, arrived alone, and the social media post featuring the anniversary card surfaced the following morning. At the same time, Harry's own public comments have become part of the discussion. Over the past several years, he has openly spoken about his hesitation regarding returning to the United Kingdom. During this particular period, there were no widely circulated images showing him at Heathrow Airport. In addition, media reports covering Meghan's travel plans did not identify Harry as a passenger on BA 269. Reports from People magazine, Hello magazine, and GB News all focused on Meghan's trip without stating that Harry was on the flight. That detail has become one of the biggest talking points surrounding the story. The question many observers raised was simple. If Meghan was reportedly the only member of the couple aboard the aircraft, why was the handwritten card addressed to both Harry and Meghan together? Looking only at information available through public records and media coverage, the situation seems fairly straightforward. Meghan was returning home after international engagements and was one passenger among hundreds on a long-haul flight. She was surrounded by crew members, flight attendants, and the captain overseeing the journey. What public reporting has not clearly shown is Harry occupying a seat anywhere on that aircraft. Then came the fast-moving chain of events after landing. By the morning of May 19, the card had appeared on Instagram. Later that same day, People magazine published an exclusive article that included comments attributed to a source close to the Duchess of Sussex, adding even more attention to the story. Between the aircraft's arrival in Los Angeles and the publication of the media reports, only a relatively short amount of time had passed.
He leaks to People magazine, her propagandist at People magazine, that this was the crew, the British Airways crew. And she was just so touched that they loved her so much. Here's the article. Meghan Markle was moved by the kindness of a British Airways flight crew who helped ring in her wedding anniversary with Prince Harry. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex marked 8 years of marriage on Tuesday and shared a glimpse of the heartfelt gesture she received while travelling home from Geneva, Switzerland the day before. Posting to her Instagram stories, Meghan revealed a handwritten note from the British Airways flight crew thanking them publicly for helping make the occasion special. Thanks to this amazing flight crew for all the love yesterday. Appreciate all your memories and kind words, she wrote, tagging a British Airways alongside a Union Jack emoji. The card read, Dearest Harry and Meghan, wishing you a wonderful wedding anniversary with love, the whole British Airways family. Covered with signatures and personal notes, it was also marked BA 269 and dated May the 8th.
While the Instagram post is publicly available, much of what happened behind the scenes during those hours remains unclear. Who contacted the media? When were conversations or briefings held? Who first shared details about the onboard gesture? Those questions have never been fully answered in public, and they continue to be part of the wider discussion surrounding the story. This brings attention to what many observers consider the first notable detail about the card. The message was not addressed only to Meghan. It did not say, Dear Meghan. It did not use her title. It did not focus solely on the passenger who was reportedly sitting on the aircraft. Instead, the card read, Dearest Harry and Meghan. That specific wording immediately caught attention because personal notes from airline staff are often directed toward the traveler actually receiving them. When airline crews choose to acknowledge a well-known passenger, messages are typically written for that individual. The focus is usually on the guest sitting in the seat and accepting the gesture directly. Because of that, some observers have suggested the wording may indicate awareness of the couple's wedding anniversary. Others see it differently and argue that the crew may simply have wanted to recognize Harry and Meghan as a couple rather than as separate individuals. Either way, the wording continues to spark discussion because it included the name of someone who, according to public reports, was not traveling on the flight. That detail has become one of the biggest talking points connected to the story. As a result, the same question keeps resurfacing. If Meghan was reportedly traveling alone, how did the British Airways crew decide that the card should specifically mention both Harry and Meghan together, instead of addressing only the passenger on board? Critics and supporters have offered different explanations, but the question remains part of the public conversation. What makes the story even more intriguing is what happened after the plane landed. Media coverage appeared quickly, and attention around the card grew at a rapid pace. The following day, People magazine published an exclusive report that cited a source close to the Duchess of Sussex and presented a detailed version of the events. According to that account, members of the cabin crew approached Meghan to wish her a happy anniversary and even shared memories of where they were when Harry and Meghan married in 2018. On the surface, it paints a warm and friendly picture. After all, that royal wedding was watched by millions of people around the world, making it a moment many would likely remember years later. For staff members who watched the royal wedding back in 2018, remembering where they were that day would not be strange at all. It sounds personal, thoughtful, and genuinely warm. But then the focus shifts right back to the card, because while the story presents this as a spontaneous onboard anniversary moment for Meghan, the card shown on Instagram was addressed to both Harry and Meghan together. That is where some observers believe the details start moving in different directions. The public explanation that the gesture was fully spontaneous appears to come from an anonymous source speaking to a magazine. That source described a sweet anniversary surprise. Still, the wording on the card remains visible for everyone to examine. It was not addressed only to Meghan. It was not written specifically for the passenger reportedly sitting on the plane. Instead, it named both members of the couple. That matters because the wording shapes the whole meaning of the gesture. The card did not say, "Meghan, congratulations on your anniversary." It did not say, "Best wishes on your special day." It did not center only on the person physically present during the flight. The inscription reportedly read, "Dearest Harry and Meghan." That is not some tiny detail hidden in the corner.
Was close to the Duchess of Sussex. This is how much she wants people to know about this card, right? Tells people Meghan's flight crew was so lovely. On her way back from Geneva, they all came to say happy anniversary and shared their memories of where they were on the day. I thought Meghan thought the whole thing was horrible. The crew's gesture also included treats for the couple's children. They wrote Harry and Meghan a card and gave them a bottle of champagne and British candies for Harry and the kids, the source adds. It was very special and so appreciated by Meghan, who wanted to publicly thank them. She was truly...
That is the main message. And the longer people looked at the photo, another detail started standing out. Not just the names, not just the wording, the handwriting itself. The main body of the card appears to be written in one style, with careful, neat, and deliberate lettering. Then the captain's message appears separately, written in a noticeably different hand. That suggests more than one person may have contributed to the final card. Maybe two people were involved. Maybe more. Someone seems to have prepared the main message, while someone else added the captain's note. So what was later described as a spontaneous anniversary gesture appears, to some observers, to have involved multiple steps and multiple hands. And that brings the conversation right back to the same question. Whoever wrote the main inscription made a clear choice to address the message to Harry and Meghan together. That wording did not appear by magic. Someone picked up a pen, wrote those names, and framed the card around the couple rather than only the passenger reportedly on board. The card did not create itself, and that observation leads directly to the second major detail people keep discussing. The captain's note. Separate from the main inscription is a handwritten message reportedly signed by Captain Ed French. The note reads along the lines of, "Lovely to have you on board. Congratulations on the anniversary." Now pause and think about that wording from the perspective of someone who does not follow celebrity publicity cycles closely. This was not a quick signature added to the bottom of an existing message. It was not a short best wishes written in the corner and left at that. Instead, it was a complete sentence that specifically acknowledged a wedding anniversary. The note directly referred to the occasion being celebrated, and that detail has led many people to ask additional questions. Captains on major international flights oversee hundreds of passengers. They are responsible for safety procedures, operational decisions, weather monitoring, crew coordination, and many other important tasks. A long-haul Boeing 777 flight is a major operation. Yet here was a captain reportedly signing a message that specifically referenced a passenger's anniversary. That naturally leads to a question that has fueled much of the discussion. How did he know about the anniversary in the first place? Commercial airlines often provide captains and premium cabin staff with information about certain travelers, public figures, dignitaries, VIP customers, and loyal frequent flyers may receive additional recognition during their journeys. That is not unusual at all. In fact, it is a common practice throughout the airline industry. Airlines regularly track customer preferences, recognize repeat travelers, note important milestones, and look for ways to enhance the customer experience. Few people dispute that such systems exist. The real discussion centers on whether any of those systems played a role in this particular situation. For Captain Ed French to write a personalized anniversary message, the information would have needed to come from somewhere. Some observers have suggested that details may have been communicated in advance through Meghan's team. Others believe the information could have come through airline records, loyalty program information, or internal customer service channels. Some simply think crew members may have been informed through routine operational briefings before departure. No matter which explanation people find most convincing, one point remains consistent. Information generally has a source. Anniversaries do not usually appear out of nowhere moments before an aircraft leaves the gate. In large organizations, details typically move through systems, profiles, notes, briefings, or other forms of communication. That is how businesses operate every day.
Had a card that had just been prepared by Harry and the children, if you remember, with their names all over it. And this is the exact same thing. Meghan wants to prove to the world that she's adored by Harry. She always talks about that man loves me so much, but then she also does it with the crew.
And this is where attention shifts to a third detail that was never written on the card itself. In fact, some commentators argue that one of the most interesting parts of the entire story does not appear anywhere in the Instagram photograph. Instead, they point to British Airways' publicly available customer service policies and published information. British Airways has not publicly confirmed whether the anniversary gesture was arranged in advance. At the same time, the airline has not publicly denied it either. As the story gained attention, the company largely stayed silent, leaving plenty of room for ongoing discussion and speculation about how the gesture came together behind the scenes. However, what British Airways has explained publicly is how customer information may sometimes be used to improve travel experiences. According to information found in airline policies and loyalty program descriptions, customer profiles can include travel preferences, flight history, and other details designed to help provide more personalized service. This type of system is not unique to British Airways. Frequent flyer programs across the airline industry commonly collect similar information. As a result, a mechanism exists through which airline personnel could potentially become aware of important personal milestones. The existence of these systems is not considered unusual or controversial. Airlines openly discuss customer recognition programs, loyalty benefits, and personalized service initiatives as part of their business models. What remains unclear is whether any of those systems were involved in the case of BA 269. And for many people following the story, that distinction is important. Much of the discussion is not about whether such programs exist. The real question is whether they played a role in this specific situation. British Airways has not publicly provided a detailed explanation. The company has not released a statement describing exactly how the anniversary message came together, who initiated the gesture, or what information may have been available to the crew before or during the flight. Because of that lack of detail, public speculation has continued. Several media outlets reportedly sought clarification. Royal commentators weighed in. Newspapers and online publications covered the story from different angles, yet no detailed public explanation emerged from the airline itself. For some observers, that silence became part of the story. In many situations, positive publicity involving a major airline and a high-profile passenger might lead to a public statement highlighting customer service and hospitality. In this case, however, some commentators noted the absence of that kind of detailed response, which only added more curiosity to the discussion. At the same time, another conversation was developing around Meghan's broader media presence during that period. Commentators pointed out that several Sussex-related stories appeared within a relatively short time frame. Anniversary photographs surfaced. Discussions about lifestyle ventures and branding gained attention. Social media activity increased. News coverage followed. Supporters viewed these developments as a couple, marking an important personal milestone and sharing moments from their lives. Critics, meanwhile, saw a different picture and argued that the timing looked like part of a larger publicity strategy aimed at maintaining public attention during a significant period for their business and media projects. Both perspectives became part of the ongoing debate surrounding the story. Those different interpretations have kept the debate alive ever since. Some royal commentators suggested that several anniversary-related stories appeared with very precise timing.
Got a fucking card from British Airlines.
And without them realizing or doing the research that anyone can get this fucking card.
Oh,
Anyone in the world can
probably
go on
know.
there
Yeah.
and get that card and say it's my anniversary.
They
They're
probably
just
know,
hurt.
but they
Yeah.
get clicks, right?
Right.
I mean, that's why they're
But
doing it. They're
they're
part
her
of this
PR agents.
Markle,
But
economy.
Even if they did it, even if British Airways went,
Embarrassed.
oh my God, it's their anniversary day, we got to get
They
them a
didn't
card.
do it.
No, why would they? Nobody in the fucking crew would give a shit. Like you think,
No.
that, oh, Meghan Markle's on the flight list in 2 days. Let's get her a card and all sign it. That's ridiculous.
No, they'd be in the background saying, let's pee in her
Yeah.
champagne because this
Wipe the
girl
card of my
sucks.
butt. Yeah.
So, boy, what a fail that anniversary was. Oh, what a fail. And how tragic. I mean, 8th anniversary, such a huge anniversary. Oh, my God. All
I know
this
why.
posting.
Yeah, why are they going over the top for the 8th anniversary? Oh, it's because, like he said, to flood the zone, right?
Do people normally make a big deal out of their 8th anniversary?
No.
Really?
Others completely rejected that idea and argued that public figures often share important personal milestones with the public. As is usually the case with stories like this, people came away with very different opinions. What cannot be denied is that the British Airways card became one of the most talked about moments from that week. For some, it was a sweet and thoughtful gesture that showed kindness from airline staff. For others, it appeared polished and carefully presented. And many people landed somewhere in between, believing the gesture may have been genuine, while also recognizing that some level of planning could have been possible. That brings the conversation back to the three details that continue attracting attention today. First, the card was addressed to both Harry and Meghan, despite public reports indicating that Meghan was traveling alone. Second, the captain's personalized anniversary message appears to suggest prior awareness of the occasion. Third, British Airways' publicly available policies acknowledge systems that can support personalized customer recognition and service experiences. Taken individually, none of these points proves that anything unusual happened. But when viewed together, they form the basis of the questions that people continue discussing years later. Supporters see a heartfelt anniversary surprise. Skeptics see signs that the moment may have involved some degree of preparation. Based on the public information available, people can reasonably reach different conclusions. What is clear is that the card remains visible. The Instagram post is still available. Media reports discussing the gesture remain online. And the questions surrounding how everything came together have never fully gone away. Even now, people continue looking at the same image and drawing completely different conclusions. Some see kindness, some see planning, some see a mix of both. And that is exactly why the BA 269 anniversary card continues generating discussion long after the flight touched down in Los Angeles. Now we'd like to hear from you. After looking at the wording on the card, the timeline of events, the captain's note, the media coverage, and the explanations that have been offered, where do you stand on the story? Do you think it was simply a thoughtful gesture from airline staff, recognizing a well-known passenger's anniversary? Or do you believe there may have been some level of advanced coordination before the flight departed Heathrow? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with others who follow royal news and media headlines. Your support helps the channel grow and keeps these conversations going.